Hello there, everybody. This is our normal coffee chat. Just letting you know that it is recorded. As you can see, it's not morning time, it's obviously evening time.
But I have
But
my coffee cup.
Jenny does have her coffee.
Am I
And the
right?
reason being is because I am now working during the day, so it is harder for me to do this in the morning. And I'm also leaving for Casadega tomorrow. So, anyways, we do the best we can, but we got a lot to talk about in this 30 minutes. I will let Jenny start off because we had an amazing night last night where we gave a free webinar
Yeah.
and started talking about the eclipse energy.
hmm
So I'll let
It
you
was
chat about.
fabulous. Didn't you think it was fabulous? I mean, I was right on, you were right on, and we had to really show people, really show them how this really works. I mean, we gave them a lot of tools, amazing things. You could feel the energy in there with all of us talking. I mean, if everybody would understand, we have these free webinars, you need to jump in it and find out what we are talking about because there's no money involved in it, but you get to feel the spirit, you get to feel the truth, you're going to feel what you really need to know within you. I loved it last night. And then our memberships came back in for another hour, and it was fabulous because they got to discuss what they had found out in that free webinar, and they ask a lot more questions. So that's I think that's what we want to start doing, is giving that free webinar and then having the membership coming in afterwards, and we really discuss it really on a deeper level. I think that works for me.
Yeah. Well, it's one of those things where one of the reasons why we wanted to do this is because there's all this fear surrounding around the eclipse. And, one of the things that I just saw a TikTok today of this girl, and she's talking about the energy of the eclipse and how it's really starting to make people feel. And she said, you haven't done anything wrong. There's just this energy frequency that is pushing on all of your stuff. But
Yes.
it's not just the eclipse. I mean, it's been since the beginning of the year, ever since the January 20th, wherever Pluto went into Aquarius out of Capricorn. That energy's been there. And then, if you follow astrology, we're now also in the feared Mercury retrograde. But what are those times about? They're about getting within yourself, doing the inner work, instead of saying, "Oh no."
Yeah.
Do you remember Mr. Bill and
Yes.
Gumby and Mr. Bill? Oh no, Mr. Bill.
Oh, that's awful though. The more I reflected back on that, I thought, oh my gosh, that is not, but because they put him into awkward positions and he would get foul or they slam him down. Yeah, that's not. I had never really looked at it because that's what is it, Saturday Night Alive? Wasn't that what
Yeah,
it is?
it was Saturday Night Live, but that was also back in a different time frame. I mean, when you think about um, like some of the shows that were out back then, it would offend people these days.
Oh
So
my gosh, wouldn't it? Oh my gosh. I mean, the more I think about it, we would all be offensive to everybody because they did things that we can't do today. Now that tells you how the freedom has been changed. And you just don't even, when you really start looking at the history of everything, this is why we're feeling the way we're feeling, because one day you could talk about anything and nobody would get offended. Now you can't. And your, free speech has been altered. We need to really look at all of that. And this energy coming up for people that are not really grounded and founded in who they really are, this is going to scare them to death. You got NASA shooting off rockets, you've got CERN going on, and then you've got the eclipse. So they really triangled this very, very neatly, if you ask me.
yeah. Well, the other thing is people don't value themselves. I was just thinking about that this morning. I was thinking about my own life, and they don't feel deserving or worthy because they've been energetically pushed down.
Yes.
And so, but the truth is that when you really look at, I was just thinking about how our culture has been. People have an idea of the 1950s housewife, and that was just a woman that was at home cleaning and all that other kind of stuff. But
Pearls. They had
the
pearls
pearls and all that other
dress
kind of
on.
stuff. Well, when I think about the stories about my grandmother, my grandfather that and his family that ran a farm,
Yeah.
And they were both equals. I mean, they both she took
Partner.
care of the household and the kids and made breakfast and dinner, but that was a full-time job. And then he was out in the field, right? And if they didn't weren't doing that, it wasn't like what people think in their minds now. They were a team.
Yes.
And so now maybe that culture has been there's a lot of things that were not
Feminism.
culture.
Feminism changed a lot of that when we got into feminism.
Yeah.
They changed the women and they got the women out of the house and the children with somebody else. There was a
Yeah.
big shift. I remember, well, I was from the 1950s. I was born in 1951.
Yeah.
So my mother-in-law, when I was married, my mother-in-law dressed up every night at dinner and wore a dress and high heels and pearls. I remember now I'm in the 60s. I'm after being in college. I went over to Ron introduced me to them. And I remember she walked in and I'm in my bell bottoms. I have got hair that's shorter than a man. And Ron was a little bit longer. And my mother said, today you can't even tell who's a man or a woman. You don't even know who they are. I remember, and my mother-in-law was just very sweet, cooked, and I was not like that. I remember it very well. I remember when I was getting married to Ron, she said, I iron my son's underwear and his t-shirts. And I looked at her and I said, well, then he'll be coming over to your house to do that.
Do you think that she wanted to do that, or is that because she felt
No,
obligated?
that was her pride and joy to do.
Okay, yeah,
She
and
was
that's what I
very
was checking
proud
at
about
too.
doing that.
The culture changed, so for her, that was her pride and joy to do that.
That's being a good mother.
Although I couldn't imagine having my underwear
Oh,
ironed. Like,
she came over and showed me how to fold everything. Now, my husband was colorblind, so he could only do blue and black or blue and brown socks. So I'd always had to put them in the area because he couldn't see them right. And I said, "You're in a blue sock, but you've got a black." So I had to show him all the time. But my mother-in-law came over several times and told me how I needed to clean my house. Yeah.
I'm sure that went over just like
I did not do well. I did not do yeah, there was a lot of, and my father-in-law, he thought I was, what was her name? Shepherd. It was an actress. And she was very popular on television. What is it?
Sybil Shepherd.
Yes. My father-in-law thought that's who I was. He said, that's who you are. And he said, you're gorgeous, and I'm thinking, so he saw this idea of me. I remember when I got pregnant, when we family found out I was pregnant after 7 years, and I was going to tell them. And when my father-in-law heard that I was pregnant, he went more crazier than he did when he found out he had the boys. So you look at that, and my mother was scared. My mother was not very nice to Ron at all. I look back well, okay, today I had to go to a doctor today. I went to the dermatologist, and I've been telling everybody I have psoriasis, which I can say it now very openly. And honestly, I haven't been able to say it. And she doesn't think that's that I have. And she said, I think you have a, allergy on one of the medications. And I thought, whoa. So I had to take, a biopsy, and we're waiting for it. And I thought, all this time, I've been really working on this, but that's how it works. Sometimes you miss the mark on some things, but then you find out the truth. Isn't that the way it is? You have to do a biopsy sometimes in your own self to find out what the real truth is.
Yeah.
And
Well, and I think that's the true empowerment too. Like everybody's in this fear state,
yeah,
and so instead of just allowing people to live their lives, we try to control each other. We try to control each other with our fear and our anger and our angst and stuff like that. And
well, we saw that last night with one of our members. Remember
oh
about
yeah,
her father, and we saw immediately she had a control issue, and she was mad or controlled out because her father didn't do what he needed to do for before he died. He needed to stay there and really, and he couldn't. And I mean, we both of us, we knew immediately she didn't trust God. And see, everybody's going to have to trust who is that within them.
Yeah, and I mean that's the one thing. And there's what we were talking about: divine timing, divine order, divine plan. Make it easy.
Yeah.
This is kind of a story. So we had I got a call yesterday. Well, first of all, Jenny had told me about a month ago that on April 19th, don't schedule anything because but there was a misunderstanding. She's going to be gone for the entire weekend because she's going to be recording the show up in Indianapolis, and her and her friend Mary Pat are going up there. So then I had a call from a friend that asked me to come down and film his workshop. And so, and I thought it would be just a lot of fun because, you know, I enjoy his subject and content. So I called her up and I said, hey, I want to go on down and do this. Can Mary Pat cover the webinar we have on the 20th? And she said, yeah, just reach out to her. So I did. And Mary Pat called me back and she said, oh, yeah, I'm going to be with Jenny in Indiana. I'm like, wait, what? And I just got down the 19th, but not that. Well, anyways, long story short, she had felt that we needed to do this webinar last night. And so, and offer this webinar, which was a great success. And so, the basic gist of this is that one of our members lives in Belgium. So the webinar she actually came on last night. She had emailed me and said, could you send me the recording? And I said, of course, because you're one of our members, and I'll work it out for you. And so, but she actually signed on. She happened to be awake. She couldn't fall asleep. And she had to be at work the next day. So she jumped on and she was on with us at like 2:00 in the morning until 4:00 in the morning.
She was almost there almost 4:00 in the morning.
Yeah. So it was a late night for her, but she wouldn't have been able to make it to the 20th because, well, we wouldn't have been there anyways because I postponed it for the following month. So the point here is that the universe already knew, God, whatever you want, already knew that we weren't going to be able to do the 20th because I was going to be down in Sarasota, Jenny was going to be in Indianapolis.
Yeah.
And so, and it just happened to work out better for one of our members, and she just happened to be awake in the middle of the night, European time.
Yeah.
So this is divine timing and divine order, divine plan, make it easy. It may not be what your ego, because my ego is like, how are we going to figure this out? The project manager is, how are we going to figure this out? How are we going to make this? We all got all these commitments and all this other kind of stuff. And then I was like, let it go.
Mm-hmm.
And I had another thing like that just about an hour or so ago. I'm putting on this mediumship event at the end of the month called Beyond the Veil Mediumship and More. Well, we have Raymond Booty coming on as a keynote speaker, my friend Jenny Marie from TLC's Mama Medium, and I was wanting a third keynote speaker. And so we'd reached out to James Von Prague and Lisa Williams, but they're very busy. And so I reached out to somebody else I knew, and he wasn't able to do it either. I sat down at my desk, and there was an application from a woman that was on the Travel Channel and is a medium. And I talked to her on the phone, and we're meeting on a Zoom call tomorrow. So this is something that if you just let go, because usually a lot of times with the keynote speaker position, you put them in you want good content as a content creator that helps change people's lives, but you also want somebody that will draw in a crowd a little bit, and that kind of stuff that people are interested in. But the way I work is that's great, but I want it divinely given. And so, and make it easy. And so it was one of those things where things didn't line up exactly the way I wanted them to, ego wise, but God knew what was going on.
Absolutely.
So,
that's one thing. That's why we get along so well, because we don't get upset about these small details. We know it'll shake out exactly the way it needs to be. I mean, it always does. I mean, we've been together almost 17 years, and it has been like that as long as I've known you. It's always been, we have to shake things out and things happen. And it does. We know how to make things happen, and we make our connection.
Do you remember our first event at Sacred Grounds Coffee House?
Yes.
and about how we had, this is another story about this. We had 5 people signed up. Um, and a week before she was coming down to fly down, she was flying down specifically to do this and also spend time with her friends in Bradenton. But I had asked her to come down. Um, and the week before, 3 out of those 5 people that were paying canceled. And I'm freaking out because, I was planning on paying for her ticket and all that other kind of stuff. And I'm like, what am I going to do? So the lady that owns the coffee shop, Karen, says to me, calm down. We'll figure it out. She goes, why don't we make it a suggested donation? And then I'll cover the tea and then we'll ask people to bring food. We had 19 people showed up and we had way more than enough to not only cover your plane ticket, but pay you money. And it was one of those things where it was such a cool experience. And then our friend Sylviane and her mother brought enough food to last the entire weekend. And it was just such a beautiful experience. And that was on April 19th when you're in Indiana.
For my son's birthday. It
Yeah.
was, I always did on my son's birthdays, I would do a workshop, and that was his birthday. Yes.
Yeah.
I remember though, that was, and they can, if you go in, you'll see the videos that we were doing that back then. That was amazing because we had people coming from everywhere to come to that coffee shop to Sacred Grams. That's what it was called. I mean,
Coffee shop.
yeah, it was an incredible weekend. We ended up doing it several times, and we did some really wild and crazy things. But we went to the beach. Remember when we saw the, the UFO or whatever we were seeing? And
Oh yeah, with Garner
oh
when
my
we
gosh,
we were
remember?
driving down. We were
Yes,
driving across the Skyway Bridge, and that UFO was following us,
yes,
and you could see it blocking the lights from TR Verde.
yeah.
So yeah,
We always have some really interesting things. That's why that I knew whatever we do, we have an ability to come together and you and I can manifest to a higher consciousness, but we do it in the divineness of it. We don't try to figure it out. And I mean, that's why we've always worked. That's why I called you when I had the first video. I called you. I said, there's no way. Because if you had not agreed, I would never have done this.
well, now we're actually going to connect with a woman that was on Jeff Mara as well.
Yes. And
And
I think we need, look at that more and more because we do understand this even more on a higher level. So yeah,
pull them
but
in and do our coffee chats.
yeah, I like these. I really do. They're only 30 minutes, but like that last night, it was only an hour. The free one was an hour, but look how much was rolling. I mean, it was like boom, 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 boom. And I mean, no, they listened. It was perfect. It was absolutely perfect. So, people need to start listening because we're really opening some portals and opportunities for people to really understand what we do. And
Yeah.
so much deeper than what they think. I mean, you went ghost hunting one day and called me and, and we did this. We've done all this kind of stuff. We live in you and I have a great life. We do. Even though you were going through all your things and I was going through, I thought it was psoriasis and everything else, we were still on the top of the surfing. We were surfing and we still
Mhm.
know how to surf.
Well, and that's why I just gave that lecture of the Metaphysical Society. Life takes you up and it takes you down. And
Mm,
as you go down, it shakes the tree and pushes up those beach balls so you can look at them.
that's
So,
exactly. When
but
you say that, that was the first thing I ever wrote about is the beach balls. All the beach balls keep coming up and you kind of try to hold them down. No wonder everybody's depressed. I said, let them go and pop them up, but put them in the order that they need to come in because what our problem is when all of that starts coming in and you haven't ordered that time or when they're supposed to come in, that's why they're overwhelmed. That's why I used to have clients that said, I don't know what to do because when they first open up, you have to go into that darkness part of yourself is first. That's the shadow that you have to understand. And that's why it scares everybody because they haven't divinely opened that up on order, timing and the plan of it. And that's why they were overwhelmed. So the more I started doing that work, the more I saw how it really worked. The universe is very ordered, very consciously. So when we're the ones that get in the way, literally, because we
Mhm.
want it this way, like we saw our client the other night. She wanted her father to do this, and he was in the process of dying, and he died before she really got to see him. She was mad about it. It's
Yeah.
we got to get over ourselves and really see you got to trust the universe or God.
Well, like, when it comes to that, I didn't want my mother to pass away. I wanted her to stay here. But
Absolutely.
at the same time, I knew it was right, whatever her soul wanted. Oh my God, look at the way baby is sitting.
I know.
Yeah, yeah. He's
He
like,
loves it. He's into the energy. He loves it. I was telling my friend, I said, yeah, baby gets on there and he just licks himself. He's just right into it.
he's literally got his belly up. He's like, look at me, I am a king.
Oh, he is. Oh, he's funny. He is. But he loves this. He loves when we do this energy. He loves it. So
Now he
yeah,
doesn't like it too much when I'm there because he's just like, well, the first couple of days he's okay,
yeah,
and then after a couple of days he's like, all right, time for you to go home.
yeah. Anybody that he said, you've been here long enough. I don't want to, I want to talk to her. I want to be with her. So I just laughed some of the things, but you look at all of this, this is who we really are. This,
Yeah,
we live this way. I mean, remember some of the members would say, you all are just everyday people. We do, we live like everyday people, but we live on a different plane of truth. And
well,
no,
everybody's everyday people, even the celebrities. I mean,
oh my gosh,
they
yes.
have all their problems, and I remember somebody said in one of our groups, they were like, "You guys are celebrity." I was like,
No,
"No, that's not
no,
a."
that's not my thing.
And my favorite was when I taught a new hire class, probably like 10 9 years ago, and somebody looked me up and they said, "Oh my God, Jeremy, you're famous," and I'm like, "No, no,
Mm-mm.
and fame doesn't pay the bills."
No, no. You can have all the fame you want, but if you don't have any money to back it, you don't care. It doesn't matter. That's the
Right.
same way. I never wanted to be this famous. I didn't want to do all. I just did the video thinking that's what I've been doing with radio and TV for 26 years. I mean, I've never, and you and I did a whole lot of videos. Look at which that came out. A lot of people started looking at all our videos at the way back there. And
I know, right, from like 2010. And I was like, whoa,
yeah,
at the coffee house.
yes, it was. It was at the coffee house, and we would go in there, and I would speak, you would speak. Other people came up and spoke. I mean, we really had a group that and you would say, Jenny's coming in, and they would all meet at the sacred grounds, and it would be like a big family party. Would be meeting
Yeah.
people that you didn't see. Oh my gosh, it was great.
Do you remember when Karen, she had a big concert when you came into town? Yeah, that was fun. So,
Yes. I mean, those people were very special to me. And they were very special. They all came to hear us speak and they meant it. And they would drop, we just did volunteering. They could drop anything in there. We made some good money there.
yeah.
So yeah.
Well, and it's just, and then doing what we loved. Doing what
yes,
we, so.
yes.
So everybody, there is if you go on to the website mydivineinheritance.org, that's where you can check out more about us. And yeah, during this eclipse, just relax. It's and meditate, calm yourself, calm your mind, and breathe.
Yes.
So
And ground.
you'll get through a lot of that. So
Yeah. And no fear. No fear.
enough fear, and that's what it's about. It's pushing on your fear.
That's
So.
it. That's it. Right there.
All right, everybody, have a great weekend and much love. And we'll talk to you all soon.
Yes.